Welcome to this week's edition of the AGV30 Podcast. Parshas Bereishis, Shabbas Bereishis. It's interesting that I saw inside of the Sefer Tamei Amin Hugim that we don't call this week Parshas Bereishis, we call it Shabbos Bereishis, as opposed to all the other weekly Torah portions that are referred to as the Parsha, but here by Bereishis it's referred to as the Shabbos of Bereishis. And it's because that not only does the Torah start over new with a hischadshus, with a newness, but rather we also begin with a newness, with an excitement, with an ability to grow and restart, literally as the creation of the world had happened and the Eibishter made it, that everything started over, so too we can also start completely over and start new. And with that being said, on this Geschmack of our podcast, God willing, we're going to be starting with a certain newness, a certain excitement, a certain hischadshus, God willing. And Amir Hashem, we'll try to focus on some consistency here to have it out before Chatzos, before midnight on Thursday night, for this round of the Geschmack of Art until V'zayis HaBracha, God willing. And we'll also focus on having all of the sources quoted so that you don't have to take my word for it. You can actually look it up. And don't trust me, you can see it for yourself. And God willing, Hashem should bless the Geschmack of Art podcast, that we should have a bunch of Geschmack of Arts. And they should inspire us to have tremendous Yirah Shamayim, fear of heaven. So the Torah starts out, Bereishis Borei Elokim, Hashem created the world. On the first 7 days, Hashem goes through creating the world, and on the seventh day, God rests, and then people are created, and then we're placed into Gan Eden, this paradise, man and woman together in the garden. We all know the story, and Rabbi Yerucham stresses that we learned this when we were in kindergarten through elementary school, but ultimately, that can lead to a misunderstanding of some of the most important events in the Torah, so it's important to go back and learn Chumash with the English, with the Rashi, understanding as to what exactly is going on with a new seichel, a new deah, a new knowledge. And it's very interesting that Adam and Chava are the first man and the first woman that are mentioned, and it doesn't exactly end so well. It starts great, that Adam said, and Hashem comes and creates Chava, Etzem Me'atzmoisai, that Chava was fashioned from Adam's hip, and now Hashem commands in Parak Beis, Pasuk, Chav Dalid, Al Kain Ya'azoiv Ishes Aviv Es Imoy V'davak V'ishto V'yiyu L'basar Echad. Man and woman should get married. They should become one flesh. Go back to the way it used to be. If you look in Rashi on this pasuk, and a little bit before, it's in the end of the first parak. Rashi says that they were actually, man and woman were Siamese twins, and then separated, and their job is to come back together to be one flesh. Yula basar echad, to become mamish, one basar. And that's our job. The model marriage, Adam and Chava, as is cited by the Sifarno in Dibur HaMaschal, V'yiyu L'basar Echad, Mikivan, V'chol HaPa'ulos, you should have in mind, Mechavim, V'chol HaPa'ulos, in all of your actions, L'hasaga Shleimus, in your marriage to reach Shleimus, HaMechavim B'yitzias Adam, to come back to the way we used to be, Ki'ilu Shneim, as if the two of us, Nimsa Echad Bilvad, we're only one. It's important for spouses to know that their job and everything, the Sefer says, Bechol HaPa'ulos, everything is to get back to the original state of perfection. Very interesting question I saw, or more specifically heard from Rav Volba, the great Mashkiach's grandson, who was a fabulous Talmid Chacham and a Goyin Olam, along with a builder of communities out in Houston, Texas. He should be gesund and stark. Asked Akasha. He quoted other Gedolim that, why would the model marriage be Adam and Chava? Didn't end well. What actually happened, Chava gave food from this prohibited tree to her husband. The husband then blamed his wife. The wife then blamed the snake. Everyone got cursed. We were kicked out of the garden. So why is this considered the model marriage? Why don't we say, wait for this Al Kain, this whole inspirational part of a marriage should be like Avram and Sarah. Yaakov and Leah, Yaakov and Rachel. Let's wait. Yitzchak and Rivka. Why Adam and Chava? It didn't end well. And an unbelievable yesod in marriage that anyone who's older than me and knows what marriage is about actually probably can understand it better. Adam and Chava had one thing special about their marriage that no one else had, and it's what is the most integral and important part to a marriage. Quite possibly what defines a marriage. Adam and Chava were the only man and the only woman in the world at that time. Adam and Chava were the only people in the world, and that's what a marriage has to be. The only woman in the world is your spouse. The only man in the world is your spouse. There is nobody else. A marriage has to be, I only have eyes for my spouse. I only hear from my spouse. I understand from my spouse. But a marriage has to be, v'yiyu l'basar echad. An unbelievable yesod in marriage. God willing, we should grow from podcast to podcast, b'chayil l'chayil. And Mir Hashem, it should be something that is blessed by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Amir Hashem, we should all be zoicha to learn the Torah with a clear-headedness, and we should say Torah that is emes. A good Shabbos.